let's build an electric go-kart. As much as it is unfinished, I previously decided to take the gamble and transport this car all the way to Nairobi for an electric vehicle parade showcase. And now I am back in the coast. In this video, I am going to be finishing up on some welding and eventually get to the painting so that I can stop dealing with rust. We have pedals. So this is for the brake, this is for the accelerator. So the next thing I want to do is take my drill and put a hole somewhere over here so that this can go through this and I can tighten it using the bolts. And that way I should be able to get a cable running from the pedal to actuate the accelerator. Took me a while to do this. I decided not to record it because I had such limited time. I really needed to finish the pedal thing. It's really been gnawing on my conscience for such a long time. A bit more of an update. So this is where the brake mounts. I did some extra work on it just to strengthen it. These fugly axle mounts are gonna stay like that for now. Well, for the rest of the life of the go-kart, really, because I don't think I have the necessary resources to do parts that I actually want to do. Like I mentioned, I will be taking measurements from this thing, and from those measurements I will draw a 3D model out of it so that all the pieces can be laser cut and fit exactly where they need to fit. That will lessen my cutting time at the expense of increasing cost, because laser cutting is not cheap, especially laser cutting tubes. Some parts like this which look really ugly, those I'm gonna remodel, of course. Battery tray, that's the battery tray where the battery sits. These tabs that hold onto the seat, all these things are gonna be remodeled. Tomorrow's job, try and clean up this edge because it's not it's really protruding outwards compared to this other side. Just to make it neat. There are some things that I'm going to try and make this neat before I start driving it. I need to work on the motor mount, a second place for the motor to mount. The force at which it spins is very high, so need to reinforce that section. The axles are still under construction, still haven't gotten them back, which is fine, which it has really given me an opportunity to continue working on this, and once the axles are here, I should be able to start driving it. So stay tuned, more on the way. I'm recording these videos a few days apart. That's because I do have a full-time job, so after work this is what I do. Alright, it's a new day, new possibilities. Today I am going to be working on a number of things, something that's been going on for most of the week. So let me give you a recap of what I've done this week, but I didn't have a chance to film because I was short on time. First things first, we have a very rusty go-kart. However, our pedal is now linked to the accelerator, which I've mounted over there with some wire, because it does have a couple of more attachment points, just that I haven't drilled the holes for that, and I don't want to waste time on this. It's not supposed to be perfect, just supposed to be secure. Second side, we have the brake pedal. Now these brackets I made in the course of the week, welded them on. You can see kind of a nice welding job, and that's going to be linked to the rear brake, which is gonna sit somewhere over here. I have removed the front steering just so that I could add some additional welds to these holding pieces. So let's start from here, what we're going to be doing today. So this is the battery. It's a 2 kilowatt-hour battery. This is water, hydration in muhimu. I have all my tools laid out, not necessarily in the order that I'm going to be using them. I have my electric motor and my controller, because I also need to find a way to mount these two onto the frame. The other thing is the battery tray, actually. So I wanted to work on that, starting with that. So what I need to do is add some angle iron running horizontally, and add additional support right underneath here to make sure that this thing doesn't wobble, because The battery pack is, I think, about 11 point something kilos, 11.7 kilos. You don't want such a mass which is loose. I'm going to strap it down. So now the reason I have these things, these are cable tensioners, where they are, one is left hand threaded, the other one is right hand threaded. So what that does is when you twist this middle part, it's just that I'm holding the camera, but if you twist this middle part, they tighten. It either tightens or loosens. That's going to be important because, as you may not have noticed, that the motor mount does not have secondary attachment points on the frame, but this does have two attachment, actually four, two on either side for the frame. What that means is once I put my chain on, I don't need to have a rigid structure holding the electric motor in one position. I can use these tensioners, and as you can see, they do give enough clearance for a bolt to go through them. I can use these tensioners to tension the chain. So now the other worry that I have is I will have to find a way to mount these tensioners onto the frame as well, so that I can use them to tension the chain. So what next? Let's start with the angle iron, cutting it, and I'll give some updates as I go. So far nimepolish the battery tray. Nilikuwa nafikiria possibly cutting let me take off this glove, possibly cutting a 45-degree angle here so that I can attach it to this piece in a flush manner, but I've just decided to make it a bit simpler and use the length of the battery tray as the most flat side, put these side brackets from the bottom, and that way I don't have to worry about making extra cuts, just to shorten my process. This was already set up. I do want to turn the frame over and start welding from the sides, and then later on I'll come on to this side and finish up. Not the cutest battery tray ever, but you don't need it to be cute, just functional. And yeah, so I just need to add a support brace between these two. I know those welds can hold, but I don't want to risk it, so it would be better to just add a small support brace on this for the battery box. And then the next thing is the motor mount. If you watched the first video, you might remember that that's one of the founding pieces of the entire build, and then everything else is built around that. That would basically mean I have to mount the motor on the chassis, figure out where the cable tensioners will go. We'll see what to do next, because one or another, the devil is in the details. Sometimes I tend to think that I'm done doing what I'm doing, and then I discover something else that I've not done. Yeah, it's a new process. It's a metwiga. Cool. I have actually made a couple of strides that I've been thinking about for a very long time, and I'm going to show you now. So this is the chassis as you know it. Now I say tafadhali subscribe. This cannot be my workshop. I want you to subscribe, nipate hiyo ad revenue ndo nipate workshop fiti. My back is currently killing me, but for the love of the game, let's continue. So you may remember the battery tray had just two columns, one on either side of the length of the battery. So what I've done is I've added supports at the back and at the front, depending on what orientation you're looking at this from. And then I also worked on a secondary motor mount. So this was the primary one, where the motor will swivel in this direction from that point, from a fulcrum. Na point ya hiyo, point ya kuongeza these adjustable, let me say arms, is so that I can actually adjust the tension of the chain from here to the axle. Now the axle is not here, so you're just gonna have to imagine that there's an axle running across, there's a sprocket over there, and because I can't get an exact chain, I can only measure out an approximation. The best idea that I had was to use these cable tensioners to adjust, it's a bit tight, But once I start spinning, twisting this, these two screws either extend or quote unquote compress in such a manner that will allow me to adjust the motor back and forth depending on the size of my chain. I welded on this piece, drilled a bit of hole to support the hook, and that is that. So the next thing is to figure out how to mount this controller. I think I'm just gonna weld a couple of pieces on either end in such a manner that they go through these holes, and I won't have to support the top using the bolts and the screws and the nuts that I have. Hopefully that will hold, and I will also not put any extra stress on these wires. On a side note, I actually ended up orienting this controller in a different way because of the port at the back. So far so good. Nataka kufunga job for today. Wacha tuone mali wiki itatupeleka. Hopefully when the week is rolling by nitaweza kupata hizo axles. Essentially what happens is this key provides a mechanical lock right over here, and I'll be able to mount my sprocket on this side and my brake disc on this side. Oh shit, I haven't mounted the brake. There's always one extra thing. Picking up from where we last left off, that was yesterday. Today is a new day. So what I have here is a bunch of rust that I really need to deal with finally. I have my spray paint over there. I only have one can, so what that means is nikiweza ku paint yote well and good. What I am trying to solve right now is the rust issue, so that even if I end up painting over the current coat that I have using that can over there, it's going to be okay. I just want it to stop rusting. Every time I'm trying to work on it, I have to deal with rust. Now today's task is I want to re-weld this rear section here, which is the rear bumper, so that it can be a bit stronger. And then I have a box somewhere here with a bunch of lights that I'm going to be mounting on the front and the rear. I'm going to polish it and paint it. Hopefully I'll have enough time for that. So without further ado, this may not seem like much has changed from yesterday, but let's start from the back. We have lights, rear tail lights. I still haven't figured out how to activate the brake when I press the pedal, which is some over there, that one, but I don't think that's important for now. So I have the lights mounted using some bolts underneath there. And the next thing I want to do is the controller mount. So I'm just going to use a piece of angle iron to weld it onto this piece and then bolt it using some nuts and bolts from the front. So these are the front lights, sequential LED. This is what I'm going to do next. Point of that is to cut it, do some holes, weld it onto the frame. So update, what I've been up to is I'm polishing this in preparation for painting. I am going to paint it yellow, and the ideal scenario for this chassis, I do want to finish this fast. I do want to drive it so that I can move on. Mentally I can also move on to doing a more improved version that can be manufactured in a single day, because that is the goal. I would like this to actually be in your home, in your estate. Ningependa pia kwa kitu yenye watoi wanafunzwa nayo kufanya vitu kama welding, drilling, assembly, all those things, driving. You know, kids should be taught how to do things from beginning to the end. There's no better way to do it than to actually get practical with it. I think I also mentioned that the other reason to actually just do everything in one go is that it can get too hard to reach places easily with spray painting. But this is just a start. I'm not gonna beat myself up because of that. I do want to finish it. As you can see, the sky is looking kind of funny. Finish polishing as best as I can. Alafu, share this video This is some very interesting stuff. Mi ni Mkenya tu kama wewe, as you are watching. We are the drivers of this change that we want to see. So if that's the case, we might as well be doing this work ourselves. Si lazima tungoje watu wengine waifanye alafu tuwaambie good work. Tuifanye si wenyewe. Mani aje. Second day, I am prepping for painting. And here's what we have so far. So I've taken a damp cloth, but it is damp with white vinegar just to clean up the entire chassis, and I am going to start with a black undercoat and then move on to orange. I was previously thinking about doing doing yellow, but I think orange is a better color for this. So if you want extra paint cans of yellow, hit me up. Let's see how this goes. So I just got the first coat of paint on. It's a nice matte black. The can ran out before I could finish the entire frame, but it's okay because this is just an undercoat. Man, I decided to butcher it. Reason being, I'm painting in the worst spot ever. There's a lot of wind and I ran out of orange spray paint pretty fast because it was just being blown by wind. But anyway, I decided since I have extra cans, let me just do some yellow and some orange, inspired by the Kamba tribe. This is what we have for now. It's a Saturday, so I can't get extra spray paint. I would have. The hardware stores are not that far away. Just that it's a Saturday and I don't want to deal with rust just because I have not painted the bottom side. I had not painted the bottom side as of yet. So this is what it's gonna stay like for now. I kind of like it, kind of don't like it. I might actually end up doing the bottom as orange, but this is just temporary. That will help me solve my issues for now. And the sun, my god, the sun is sunning. Super hot. I have struggled enough with this chassis, should I say. The struggle I don't think is complete. There are some tiny bits that I need to touch up. Should I need to? One of them is I am not sure whether the brake mount will work with my current configuration. So what next for the project? One of the things that I'm seriously considering is getting a workshop. In that workshop, I need to have a dehumidifier because the humidity in the coast is a menace to metal projects. Unless I actually apply what I mentioned a few minutes ago in the video, that I will be doing everything in one day. So the cutting, the polishing, the painting, the assembly, maybe the assembly could happen in another day, but for the frame itself, I need to be able to finish it as soon as possible, just so that I don't have to deal with things like rust, which has been a freaking headache for me, to be honest. That's why I'm mentioning it so much. Sorry if you had rust in the video too much. I think that's it for the day. It's been a short day, should I say, but a long project. And the frame, haya, inua chuma buda. 17.25.